Hey folks, my name is Vignesh, and I'm a PM in QuickSuite, owning structured data connectivity and data preparation domains. So for today's presentation, we are going to be going over the new data preparation capability, which we launched last week. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so we'll be going over four important items today. So the first one, like I talked about, we'll be going over the new data preparation solution overview. We'll talk about what the solution or what the feature is about and what problem it solves and what solutions are we bringing right now with this capability. The second agenda is going to be going over a real use case, and we'll actually go over a demo. This is going to be like a live demo in Quick's site itself. So as I go through the demo, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me and ask any questions, or you can post it after this discussion. And the last one would be new and legacy data prep experiences. And when we talk about the new experience, now customers will have questions about the two experiences. Some customers would be like, okay, we already have a legacy experience. What about that? What's going to happen with that? So I want to touch on that topic. And then finally, any question and answers. I know, and I talked about you asking questions directly, and I know in this webinar you may not be able to directly post your questions. So instead, if you have any questions, please feel free to follow up after this call or post it separately, and then we'll be more than happy to answer them. So when we look at the challenges, right? Non-technical users, when they want to prepare the data, they face two main challenges. The first challenge is that anytime you want to do an advanced data transformation, it could be anything in the form of doing an append, which is traditionally our union all, or something like a list tag, pivot or unpivot. You would require SQL expertise. So that's like a big challenge, which means folks who are not very familiar with the SQL, they either have to wait for their IT teams to come up with the data transformations, or basically write SQL views for them, or in other cases they just won't even be able to go ahead with advanced transformations by themselves. So there is that added time where the analysts have to wait for other folks to write SQL views and perform the advanced transformations. That way they could just bring the data into QuickSight and then analyze their data. The second challenge is that currently in our experience, in our legacy experience, you can do some transformations, right? You can do joins and things like that. But then one major pain point that customers faced was that there is limited traceability and shareability without a sequence workflow. So what I mean by that is when we are talking about transformations, one major thing that we want to make available is the ability for the person, whoever did the data transformations, let's say they added some calculations, let's say they did some joins. So all of these should be easily traceable, right? So anytime they do append, list tag, pivot, and unpivot, or anytime even if they want to do some basic transformations, there should be an easy way to be able to trace them back, basically identify what changes have been applied to the raw data. So there is like a step-by-step representation of how the changes have been applied. So imagine this, right? If an analyst, if I myself, let's say I do some transformations today, and then I come back a week later and I'm finding it difficult to understand what all changes have been applied to the raw data, then how would it be if I have to share the data set with someone else, right? So they will find it even more difficult to understand what all changes have been applied to the raw data. So it becomes even more difficult from a shareability perspective. So those are the two main challenges that we have today when it comes to data preparation. Now, with those challenges in mind, we have now come up with a new data preparation experience where it is going to be a visual data prep experience where you could do advanced transformations like append, list tag, pivot, and unpivot, all through simple clicks. And you do not need to come up with any complex coding or SQL, and you do not need any complex coding or SQL skills. And going back to the second problem statement that we saw, there is that need to be able to do data transformations or like to be able to trace the changes step by step, right? So if you have the raw data, you need to be able to exactly see step by step as to how the changes have been applied. So there needs to be like a visual representation. So you can now visually see how the changes have been applied step by step. Not just that, now in the enhanced data prep, what we have is a better collaboration mechanism. What I mean by that is your dataset as a source can now be shared up to 10 levels. What I mean by that is, let's say I am an analyst and I go ahead and create dataset A. Now I share it with another analyst, let's say analyst B, and they would want to create dataset B. So in this case, analyst B, they can build on top of dataset A that was shared with the analyst. They do not have to know about the complex logic that went into building dataset A, and all they have to do is to just apply the changes on top of whatever has been on top of whatever I have built as built into dataset A, right? So in this case, you can share these datasets all the way up to 10 levels, thereby promoting traceability and shareability. And last but not the least, currently, if you look at it, our cross data source join capability is at 1 GB. Now, in the new experience, we have a 20x increase, and it's getting increased to 20 GB from 1 GB. So those are all the high-level benefits that we have in the new data preparation experience, where our objective is to help users transform data like experts without any complex coding or SQL skills. So that's the core reason why we have this feature. And the next follow-up question would be like, what would be the licensing? And the best news is that there is no additional licensing cost. If you are a QuickSight author or an Author Pro, this is included as part of your Author and Author Pro subscription, and there is no additional licensing cost for the new data preparation experience and to be able to use the visual data preparation experience. So let's look at a business use case, right? We have a business analyst at any company. By the way, any company, it's just a fictional company that we just came up with for this demo. So they want to analyze the year-over-year sales performance, and they want to combine sales data across multiple years, and they want to add product and region attributes to the sales data. Now, on top of that, they also want to combine it with a forecast data in Excel. The challenge is that the analyst lacks SQL expertise. Now, for the last part, I will see if we can add the forecast data as well. But I specifically wanted to cover the first aspect, which is to be able to add the year-over-year sales, or basically add multiple years worth of data, and then be able to add the product and region attributes. And we'll see if there are any questions, but if not, we'll try to address the last aspect of this, which is the forecast data as well. So let's get into the demo. Okay, now we are in the QuickSight dataset page. I'm going to be creating a dataset. So let's start with the first step, which is obviously going ahead and creating a dataset. I'm going to be using an existing data source, which is a new data prep demo. And I'm going to be picking data modeling. So let's start with 2023 sales data. So this is where we'll be taken to the new experience, and you will see every step has two panes. It has a configure and a preview pane. And on the left-hand side, you're able to see all the transformations that we support today. And you'll be able to see all the transformations plus the add data functionality that we support as part of all the transformations. So now let's go ahead and look at the preview data. So you will see some of you just by looking at the table name itself would have figured out, okay, it's like the classic fact and dimension table problems, right? I mean, it's the traditional fact and dim table joining, but I'll still walk you through the preview itself. So you have the customer ID, postal code, product ID. So that is one issue where we do not have attributes like city, state, region. And the other issue is that you do not have attributes like product name, right? So that's one issue. And the other issue is, as the name itself suggests, and when you look at the order date here, it all corresponds to 2023 sales information, and we do not have 2024 and 2025 data. So two things. One is that we should be able to add 2024 and 2025 information. The second is that we should be able to add product and regional attributes as well. So for that, let's go ahead and use the add data functionality, and then let's go ahead and add those 4 tables. So in this case, I'm picking the same data source, which is new data prep demo. And I'm going to be picking 2024 sales and then 2025 sales. And right after that, we'll pick dim product and dim region. So we now have all these 5 tables in here. So traditionally in SQL, if you were to do a union all, you would have to make sure the sequence of columns are the same. And you also have to make sure the number of columns are also the same. So let's say you've got 10 columns in table 1 and then 15 columns in table 2. You first have to make sure the number of columns are the same. So either add additional columns to table 1 or remove the columns from table 2, and also make sure the sequence of the columns are exactly the same, right? But now with the new data prep experience, what you can do is to be able to do a quick append without having to worry about the sequence or the number of columns. So here, all I have to do is to just go ahead and append the tables. So what I'm going to be doing is just doing a quick append, and that's it. We have now appended Fact 2023 and Fact 2024 sales data. So you look at this, and what it says is you've got all these columns on the first table and then all these columns on the second table, and then it shows us the append output with the status. So what it means is with the status showing a check, that means we have those columns available in both the tables. So if at all one column is not available in one of the tables, then we will see a clear warning message or a clear indication saying, row ID is not available in Fact 2024 sales and whatnot. So there is a clear indication there. Now let's go ahead and do another append to basically union with the Fact 2025 sales data. So I'm just going to be doing another append. So now we have done another append with the Fact 2025 sales, basically appending the output of 2023, 2024, which is what we did here. And then, doing a final append with 2024, 2025 sales data. Now, as we had earlier seen, the data was lacking, the product and region attributes. So region, as in it was lacking city, state, region attributes. And then from a product standpoint, it was lacking, product name and category attributes. So let's quickly look at the dim region table as well. So we see that we've got postal code, city, state, region in here. And then we've got, in dim product, we've got product ID, category, and product name. So let's go ahead and do a quick join with the dim product table. So I'm picking product ID here. And then I'm also picking product ID here. And then it's a typical left join. So I just retain that as is. And then the join keys are going to be based on product ID. So now we have done the first join. Let's go ahead and do the second join, which is to the region table. And now let's pick postal code and then postal code. Now we see something in here, right? Which is that the data types are mismatched. So let's go ahead and inspect what's going on here. So we see that the postal code here, with this indication, it shows up that it's a string data type, whereas here it shows up as numeric, right? So we need to first fix that issue. So I will go ahead and delete the join step. And then first, let's inspect this value, right? So you can clearly see it's an integer, which we need to convert it to a string, because zip code is not an integer, although it's a numerical value. You're going to be doing an aggregation, or it's something that is groupable, right? It's a categorical column. So we are going to be adding a change data type to convert postal code to string. And now we will also inspect the zip code tied to this data. So this is the first join result where we have the product information. Now, if you look at this, you will see that the zip code over here, it has more than 5 digits. So let's quickly add a calculated column to clean up the zip. So now we have cleaned the zip using a simple calculation which is left of postal code, 5. So now let's look at the results. So here, as you can see, we are inspecting the results at every step in the workflow. So this is the original postal code, and then we've added the clean zip, which is now just the 5 digits. Now we can go ahead and do the join. First is that the data types have been updated. Second, now we have updated the number of characters, or basically the number of digits in this case, to be 5, right? So now let's go ahead and do a join using our join transformation itself. So we would now use clean zip and then postal code. So let's look at the results now. So as you can see, we now have the joined result with the clean data, which now has city, state, region data added. So as you can see, using simple interactions without having to do any complex coding, we were easily able to apply transformations, and we were able to easily apply, append and join and calculations without even having to write any SQL. So that's like the high level overview. Now let's see how to add a forecasted data to this information. So now when you look at the data in here, you will see that we have appended, joined, and then finally added a calculation. So now let's go ahead and add forecasted data for the rest of 2025. So whenever you do an upload an Excel file, we automatically do the casting for you, because by default, everything is going to be stored as a string. So that's where we have automatically done the casting for you. So here we have casted it to integer, which is not necessarily the right thing. So here we can remove that, but then everything else, let's keep it as is. Let's look at the forecast data to see how the value is, or how the data is structured. So you have product ID, product categories, zip, city, state, region. But then you will notice that the columns, right, the number of, or basically the forecasted data for the sales, it is structured across different columns. Whereas when you look at the source data that we had, you will see that it is showing up as a database view. So I'm just going to zoom out quickly to show you how the database view is structured. So here you will see that the dates are going down rows, but then for forecast data, you will see that it is going across columns. So here, what we can do, and another thing to notice is that we have category city information here, but then here we do not have the attributes, or basically in the forecasted data, we do not have attributes like customer ID. So let's go ahead and roll it up. It also does not have attributes like ship mode. So let's go ahead and do an aggregation to make sure these two are same. So let's go ahead and do that first. We're going to be aggregating the columns. So what information did we see in the forecast data? We saw the first one was actually starting with order date. So date was there. Basically, the date in the forecast file corresponds to the order date. And now we are going to be looking at the category. So category was there. And now product name, clean zip. So now we have product name, clean zip, and then we have city, state, region, right? So you have product category on the product attribute side. Now city, state, region, zip from the regional attribute side. And then finally, of course, we need something to roll up by, right? So we are going to be including sales as well, but not as a group by, but we're going to be including sales as the aggregated column. So using our aggregate function, you can do a quick aggregation here. And now that we have done the aggregation, let's do a final check. So we are able to append or basically combine the database view, which is the sales data, and then the forecasted view as well. So you will see, yes, now we have brought it to the right granularity. And now if you see the column names, it's some of them are in lower casing and then some of them are in upper casing. So let's go ahead and make sure they are uniform. So what I'm going to be doing is we are going to be doing a rename step. So I'm going to be calling this as order underscore date. It's just going to be easier from an dashboard perspective. When a user looks at the dashboard, they'll be able to easily see, or like it's good to have like a consistent uppercase character. So now it's city, state, and region. So all these columns have now been renamed. Okay. So now we have done an aggregation, rolled up the sales data, and then we have renamed the columns. And let's check the final result to see if everything is good. So the objective here is to be able to combine your database view and the forecasted data, right? So here everything looks good. Well, actually everything is not good, because you look at this, you see that order underscore date is stored as a string value. It looks like order underscore date was stored as string in the source itself, which is a bit unique. So let's go ahead and address that by using a simple change data type step. So order underscore date, we are going to be formatting it to a date. So what this means is we are going to tell the new data prep like what format the values are in. So it corresponds to the YYYY-MM-DD format, right? So we're going to hit validate, it converts to a proper date format, and then we will apply. So now when you look at the database view, we have the right granularity, we have the right rename, and then we have the right data type as well. So all of these three things are good. So order underscore date, date check, names check, and then the aggregation level is also check, because it's kind of at the same level as the forecast data. So everything is good to go. Now, looking at the forecast data here, we have an issue, right? So the issue that we saw earlier, where we now have the value in different columns. We want to bring it to a database view. So using a simple unpivot operation, we can easily do that. We can easily convert different columns to rows. Basically, you're doing like a transpose. It's just that your table, which is like wide, it's going to be basically narrow and then long. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, where we have your different columns and then we want to like transpose it to have everything in the same column. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be pivoting or unpivoting the columns. So we'll pick the columns that we want to unpivot. So those are the 4 columns. In case, by the way, looking at this, if you're looking at, hey, it's already October 28th, and why is that we actually have forecasted data for September? It's because when we prepared the data, it was back in September. So just FYI. But yeah, so you now pick the columns to unpivot, right? Now we have done that unpivoting. So here we will give the name for that column, which has the unpivoted value, which is order underscore date. And now we'll call this to be sales, right? Now, if you look at the preview, that will exactly, like you will exactly see what we have done here by looking at the preview. So you will see this. You will see this. Now we have transposed it through a simple action, which is using unpivot, right? All we have done is we have picked the columns to unpivot, and then now everything is in database view. And here it's again the same issue that we saw previously, where the unpivoting has retained it to be a string. So now let's go ahead and change data type. And it's formatted as a string. We want to change it to date, right? So we will change it. So just like the previous one, we have it in this format, YYYY-MM-DD. So we're going to validate that. Looks good, because that's the current format, right? So everything looks good. It converts to a date format. Now you have the forecast data, you have the database view. Now the analyst wants to append the two. Basically, you want to combine the two to have one final table with both your forecast and actual. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing now, which is to go ahead and append. And one thing I want to call out before we do the append, and here it's fine because we haven't selected the second table. Actually, we can just pick the second table just so the error message goes off, right? So one thing I want to call out here is when you look at the sequence of columns in this step, right? You've got order underscore date, which is the first column, and then category, second column. But then when you look at this one, you will see that the sequence of columns are different. You have product ID, product, category, and then order underscore date is further out. So the sequence of columns are different. And also in your the data, you will see that yeah, some of the columns are completely off. So what QuickSight has done in this append functionality, if you look at the configure, you will know. What it has done is we have automatically resequenced the columns from table 2 to match the sequence of table 1 based on the column header name itself. So it prevents, or it it is a significant time saver for all of the analysts and data users compared to traditional SQL view. If you were to do a union all, you have to sequence the columns between the two tables, spend all the time, right? So here, just with a click of a button, we were able to automatically sequence the columns. And the other thing, interesting thing, was that product ID was not existing in the database view. So that is also something that we have addressed here, where you're still able to append them with a clear message that says no matching columns from change data type 3, which is your database view. And now you look at your final preview, you will see that you now have a full database view, or like one final table where we have been able to combine all of the data. And basically what we've done, just to recap, is we have appended 3 years worth of data. We have added product and region attributes. And in that process, there were some issues, and we have been able to address it as part of the initial the join issue that we saw with the region, right? So we were able to address that. And we were also able to unpivot the data using a simple transformation that we have right now. And finally, we were able to append the actual sales data with the forecasted data. So now the data is ready for analysis, and now the analyst is able to do super simple year-over-year calculations and do checks against category and city using simple actions on the analysis side. So here, the top ones to recap would be append, your append, change data type, your rename, and then join plus the unpivot, which is like the traditionally it would have required SQL skills, but we were able to do it very quickly. So we are going to call this as sales data set demo, and we'll just go ahead and check this, and then we'll save and publish. So there we go. we were able to address all of those by quickly doing some actions. Now, one thing you would have noticed is that the view is smaller here. Just a quick note that there was some issue with my screen sharing, so that's the reason I'm sharing it from my laptop. But if you were to do it on a bigger screen, you would be able to clearly see the transformations and preview. So just wanted to add that. But you can easily see your transformations, all the transformations that got applied, and then the preview at any given step. So now we are able to clearly see the flow and then able to take action. Now, one thing I want to call out is that there are a few transformations, or not transformations, I should say, functionalities like column folders, column description, and things like that. They are not yet supported in the new experience. We'll be adding them soon. So if at all you have any use case that requires those functionalities, please go ahead and switch back to legacy experience. Now, the reason why it is grayed out here is because we saved and published this data set. If you go back, if you look back, you will see that until we saved and published, you always had the option to switch back to legacy experience. So that's one thing I want to call out, which is that before you save and publish, you have full flexibility to go back to legacy experience when you're creating a new data set. If you hover over this, we have given a clear indication where it says the dataset was published in the new experience and cannot be edited in legacy experience. To use the legacy experience, create a new dataset and select switch back to legacy experience before publishing. So that's something that we've explicitly called out. I know it is a pretty long message, but we want to make sure users are clearly able to understand what needs to be done if they want to switch back to legacy experience. So to do that, all you do is create a new dataset and then click switch back to legacy experience here. Now, in terms of what features are not yet available, which, by the way, we are going to be adding very soon in the new experience because we want everyone to benefit from the new experience. So in terms of what functionalities are not supported, we have updated that in our documentation. If you check our documentation, we have clearly called out the features like dataset parameters, column folders, column description, and things like that are not yet supported, but we plan to add it soon. So if you have use cases for those, you can just switch back to legacy and then start looking at those addressing those use cases. But for advanced prep use cases like what we just saw now, you can absolutely go ahead and use the new experience and then go ahead and address advanced prep use cases without even having to use any coding or SQL. And another call out is that the new experience is only for new datasets, and all the legacy datasets. What I mean by legacy is any dataset that was created before the launch, basically before October 2025, will still be in the legacy experience, but we do have a plan to eventually migrate all of the legacy datasets to the new experience. So all of the datasets get that enhanced functionality of the new experience. So just wanted to add that.